Hello there, world of tankers, and specifically the wargaming developers. Thane, I know you're the lead developer of the wargaming team for Blitz. This video is dedicated to you and your team. I know that I've posted a lot of content on Unreal Engine, and actually I'm quite optimistic about Unreal Engine. There's a lot of things that I am disappointed in, but obviously you guys have said you want feedback, you want our opinions. This video I'm posting today is directly guided towards the devs and towards the wargaming team. I really hope you watch this. And as I told Alexandra the other day, I would love to do a stream with wargaming. I would love to have a stream with you guys, either on your channel or on my channel, maybe even a public or a private chat where we can talk about the direction that you guys are going. I want to discuss the things that I highly disagree with. I want to know your thought process behind them so I can give the player base a more clear and uniform idea. Because let's be honest, you guys royally screwed up how Unreal Engine works. You spent the last 2+ years designing, building, and creating an engine, but you never asked the public's opinion on what we want added into the game. And now you're feeling the backlash. You as devs don't understand what we as the players want. Listen, I get it. You put a lot of hard work into Unreal Engine. And I do feel a little bad in the fact that you are getting so much hate and so much heat. And I am one of those people that have said a lot of bad things about Unreal Engine alongside the good. But at the end of the day, you left us in the dark about something which should have been public. You should have asked us our opinions. You should have had content creators go on stream and talk about what we want and have polls and have the player base say what we want. Instead, when people asked who wanted commanders, who wanted sets, the reply that Wargaming Official said on the channel was the team. We are not the team. We are the player base. That is the problem. This is why this is such an utter disaster right now, and it's why you're probably going to have to rethink some major decision making you've had when it comes to Unreal Engine. But at the end of the day, you guys have done this time and time again. You have put things into the game which we don't want. We've massively complained about it until the point of removal. For example, the Sheridan missile was so hated by every single player that we had raids and rallies, and you had to mute the Discord server for a period of time. You even had, I don't remember who the content creator was. It was like Rolling Swarm, that's who it was. You had Rolling Swarm do a video with you, who you flew down to talk about the Sheridan missile, and then he ended up hating it so much, he actually, like, basically left the company and then said, I hate doing that video and I take it all back. And it's to a point where a year later, after all the public outcry, you guys finally bent over and removed the Sheridan missile. And it's not just that. You tried putting in skill-based matchmaking, what, a couple months ago? Everybody hated it. Everybody said it's the worst thing ever. You guys removed it. But don't worry, you're trying to put it back into the game now. You're trying to remove stats from randoms, and you're trying to only have them in ranked, basically forcing players that actually want to have stats, that want to show what their skill is, to forcefully play in SBMM. We don't want this. We complained the first time when we don't want this, and you ignored us, and you're doing it anyway. It's a great example of how you as a company ignore what your player base wants, and it's getting us really angry at this point. The VRT system is another great example. The virtual tank restoration system, you guys had really good. You could sell a tank for 15,000 gold, and it would cost you 15,000 gold to buy it back. Now, I agree. You should lose a little bit of gold when selling a tank, maybe 10 to 20%. So maybe if you sell a vehicle like a Chieftain for 15,000 gold, okay, change it to the fact that you get 12,000 gold when selling it, and it costs 15,000 to buy it back. If you did that, the vast majority of the player base would not have complained. But what you did is you said, okay, you're going to sell it for 7,500, and you have to buy it back for another 7,500, being 15,000 in total. Every single video that Wargaming Official has posted has been complaining about the VRT system until you guys release the Unreal Engine trailer. You haven't done doodly squat about it. You haven't acknowledged it at all. This is another great example of how you ignore the community, you ignore the player base, and this is what happens. And Unreal Engine is just another example here of where you have ignored, dismissed the player base, and you have put us on the back burner. And now you've released this trailer, making it seem like Marvel's Avengers Endgame here. But in reality, it's terrible. This is like the day before. You guys as devs probably know about the day before, a game which absolutely failed upon release. You're trying to ostracize the skilled players while at the same time having newer players come into the game. And usually what ends up happening when you do this is your older player base gets screwed over, they stop playing the game slowly, and then the newer players that you want coming in don't come in fast enough, and you end up cutting off both roads and the bridge falls apart. And That's what you guys seem to have done for years and years and years. The balancing decision as a company you guys have made has been very poor. A great example of this is the equipment changes that you rolled out a couple months ago, right? The equipment changes, you made it so that vertical stabilizers had a 12% buff, and you made it so that refined gun had a 15% buff. If you actually understood how the game worked, you'd realize that there's literally no reason to run V-stabs because refined gun makes your aiming circle 15% smaller, meaning that literally on the move, refined gun still makes you more accurate than the 12% buff V-stabs gives you. The only slight advantage that V-stabs gives you is when you move a little bit, your gun doesn't bloom as much. But again, refined gun gives you a 15% smaller aiming circle, so even then you're still 15% more accurate versus the 12% at best increased accuracy you could get with V-stabs. You as devs should understand how the game works, and clearly with those changes you don't. These are things that as a player, as somebody who knows how the game works, who knows the inner working and everything else, I need to call out. So that's the first thing we need to immediately break this ice on, right? You guys have neglected the community, you've ignored what we want, and now this is what you have to show. I don't hate everything about Unreal Engine. I'm not the biggest negative Nancy about it, but I've also made very clear the thoughts, feelings, and opinions I have with a 55-minute video I posted yesterday. Today, as I said, this is directly dedicated to the devs. I would love to do a stream with you guys where we can actually talk and discuss about the things that you see and you want coming into the game, and also maybe so that you can listen to the player base and actually hear some of the opinions. You guys did a live stream the other day where you broke into some of the questions and comments and concerns that the community had, but coincidentally left out the most important questions, like why do we want sets? Why do we need sets? Why was the tech tree too confusing? The other thing that you left out was the fact of paid commanders. That was one of the biggest questions. That's the biggest concern that every single person has, is paid commanders. This is a huge one. We don't want commanders to be paid for in the future. We don't want commanders to be behind a paywall. And even if you say they're able to be earned for free, what happens when that event goes away? Does that mean you're never going to be able to get that commander again? Commanders need to be free. I don't care what you say. Commanders need to be free. They always need to be free. Always. That's as simple as it is. You cannot put time-limited events on commanders, which may give you abilities that are better than other commanders. Even if they're worse, you're still putting special abilities behind a paywall that you may not be able to get your hands on. All the commanders need to be free. This is something that needs to be discussed and need to be promised to the community. You guys have said in the past, you won't put crates in the game. Guess what? Crates are now in the game. And I get it. The devs, you guys probably don't care about the paywall behind things. You guys are just designing and creating what the marketing team may tell you. If the marketing team comes over and says, hey, we need money, now you're going to go make an event with commanders. I get it. But at the end of the day, you guys are the life of this game. We cannot kill this game. You cannot put commanders behind a paywall. That's the first thing, right? So I would love to actually ask a lot more of the questions that the community really has, rather than the questions that were sheepishly put together by Wargaming to kind of distract from a lot of the public outcry. So with that being said, in today's video, I'm going to be letting you, as the devs, know the things that we don't want in the game, the things that we do want in the game, and that's about it. Let's start off with Unreal Engine itself, right? I don't have a problem with Unreal Engine. I actually think this is a good change. I think it's a better engine. I think it runs better. But it doesn't run better right now, and it doesn't look better right now. I'm running on a 4K 55-inch monitor. It's some special Samsung monitor. And Blitz, the current Blitz that we play, runs fine and looks great. I'm not going to lie. For a mobile game, Blitz looks really good. The old one, right? The Unreal Engine does not look good. I don't know what you guys messed up, if it's the render scale, the resolution, the output res, the upscaling. I'm not sure what it is. But running this game on 4K looks really bad right now. There's something wrong with it. You guys got to fix that. Not only that, but the game doesn't run well. I am running a 4090 paired with a 7950X3D, two of the top of the line processor, or it's basically the best you can get right now in terms of computers. It literally cost me $7,000 to build my PC. I'm not even joking. It's water cooled. It has 14 fans on it. It should not be struggling to run this game well. Yet at 110 FPS, it's struggling to run even that well. It's bad. I can run any AAA title, even Cyberpunk, which was horribly unoptimized when it was first released. But now that Cyberpunk runs well, I'm able to run the game fine. You guys need to fix the optimization before this gets released. I know this was released because you guys wanted to fix the optimization, so I get it, but that is seriously one of the major things that needs to be fixed before Unreal Engine goes into the final stages. The game should look better than Blitz, not worse, and right now it looks worse than the current game we have. The second thing, none of us want sets. I will be entirely honest. None of us want sets. I have messed around at what sets look like as a beginner, what sets look like as an experienced player. Let's start off. Veterans are getting screwed by sets. Players who have spent years and years and years memorizing the tech tree and where each and every tank goes and how the grinding process works, you are now ostracizing that community and player base. Not a single skilled player likes the sets. Not a single skilled player. And it's because you are taking something that we've known for years and you're completely changing it. I'm not against change. I am against sets. Flossie and I have no clue what the heck we're looking at here. We don't know how to find our tanks. And sure, like you can search for the tanks, but you know that your sets are a disaster when you have to actually search for the vehicle that you want. I don't need to search for a tech tree. If I want to find a vehicle on a tech tree, I click the nation, I search, or I just look at the line and boom, I found it. It's super simple. It's super easy to understand. Not a single person has ever once complained about tech trees, and yet you guys have decided to redesign them. And I know why you've done it. It's because you want to make them behind keys. And keys cost money. Now, yes, you can earn keys for free. I understand this. But let's be honest. People like to unlock multiple things at once. When I was young, I ground like 4 lines at once. But with keys, you're not going to be able to do that. To grind 4 lines at once, you're going to need upwards of like 50 keys. Which means that you're going to have to level up a boatload. That's really bad. What if there's a line you really don't like and you don't want to grind it anymore? Well, guess what? Wargaming's forcing you to use your keys on different lines if you want to unlock them. And what's even more stupid is there's certain lines which only have premiums behind them. Look at this, the Jingles tank line. This only has premiums and collectors in it. And it's not just this one, there's a bunch of them. You can click on the one that has the Smasher and the Annihilator, and that one you have to pay for, you know, the Mad Game set here. All of these you also have to pay for. This is really stupid. I really don't agree with this. I think it's a terrible choice. You're putting basically a pay-to-progress wall behind sets. And it's not like you're removing the experience or grinding process. You still need tank set XP to grind and unlock vehicles. You still need credits. So all keys are is an extra transaction to now unlock the ability to grind what was already readily available tech trees that anybody could grind without having to unlock them. I think this is a really stupid decision. Keys need to be removed from the game. That is the first thing. The second thing, again, sets just don't make sense. Please, Wargaming devs, tell me what I'm looking at here. Please explain to me how the hell you're supposed to figure out which tank line or set you want to figure out. What am I looking at here? Like koi fish? Nobody's going to memorize these badges. Nobody's going to memorize these. Why do we need these? Nobody wants this. Seriously. Nobody wants this. And your beginner grind as well is awful. I've looked at what this game is like as a beginner. I've actually spent about 5 hours messing around with the tutorial so I can get a really good idea of what we're working with here. The first high tier vehicle set you unlock is this one, the Carapace. The highest tank you get is the Tortoise. You really think that the Tortoise is a good vehicle for beginners to grind? It's not. Trust me. It's absolutely awful. Some other things which are great to ask you guys about. Why is the Minnow? Well, I need to figure it out where it is, but why is the Minnow considered an expert line? Is it this one? No, that's the Progetto. I love how I can't even figure out where the Minnow is. Oh, there it is, there it is. So this is the Minnow one, right? The Minotauro. Why is this considered an expert line? The Minnow, as you guys would know from devs, is the second highest performing tank for 45%ers right now in the game. So why is this listed as an expert line? Why is this not one of the first lines you unlock? I don't have a problem with the ranking here of like expert, all-rounder, armor. I actually think this is good. I wish that, really what I wish you guys would do as devs is you would just redesign the tech trees so that you can also sort the tech trees by mediums, heavies, tank destroyers, high armor, high alpha. We don't want sets. I'm going to be honest, we don't want sets. I would love to talk more in depth with this in a VC with you guys or on a stream and really explain it, but I'm not going to waste every ounce of effort right now explaining something. We don't want sets. That's as simple as it is. We want tech trees. If you want to add premiums and collectors to tech trees, it's very easy to do that. I've explained this. All you need to do is make it like the Better Tech Tree mod, which already exists, and just add the ability to purchase the tanks in the Better Tech Tree mod. That's all you have to do. Or you can make a separate tab for premiums and collectors, and it sorts them by the nation and the tier that they are in. So make a tech tree for premiums and collectors that you can purchase. Why is that challenging? That would be so easy, and it would be very, very understanding for most players. So, you know, you go over to the tech tree tab, just make it so that there's a little button right at the top here. See where it says like premium tanks up here? All you need to do is make it so you can click this, and then it will change the entire tech tree into premiums and collectors. And then what'll happen is it'll line up, tier 3, tier 4, tier 5, all the way up to tier 10 collectors and premiums for each tech tree. So we can see here, these are all of the premiums and collectors that are, let me set it to regular. These are all the premiums and collector British tanks. So make it so that it's listed like this. Have it at tier 2, and then it goes up to tier 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Have that listed on the tech tree. Have them available for purchase for XYZ amount of gold. Why can't we do that? I don't know. That would be way simpler. It'd be way easier to understand. And I really think that's really the way that you guys should go with sets. But that's how I see it. Nobody wants sets. Nobody asked for them. Please don't put them in the game. When it comes to the keys need to be removed. Why are you putting a paywall behind something that previously was always free and accessible to every player, aka tech trees? Keys are literally just a way to get more money from players. When it comes to upgrading your tank, the upgrade screen is very confusing. It doesn't make a lot of sense. You have no longer the ability to use research to unlock different modules on your tanks. You just have to spend credits, and it's upwards of 2 to 3 to 4, 5 million credits to upgrade your different tanks, which is incredibly expensive. Not only that, but you have also made it so that now steel exists in the game. If I want to equip a vehicle like the Super Conqueror, I need to use steel. Steel is incredibly expensive. We can see here that 50,000 credits equals 10,500 steel. And 10,500 steel isn't a whole lot. If you actually look here, the two very expensive consumables, being reactive armor and adrenaline boost, right now are going to set you back, paired with a multi-use repair kit, about 9,000 steel. So you're looking at around 9,000 steel to upgrade and use your tank every single game. That's around 40,000 credits. The current blitz that we are playing, if you want to upgrade a vehicle like the 121B, it costs 8,400, 8,400, and 5,000 credits. So that's about 21,000 credits to equip your 121B currently versus 40,000 credits to equip your 121B next Unreal Engine release. Nobody wants steel. It's confusing. You guys said on the Wargaming Official, the reason you added steel is because you're making it easier for people to not only use it, but also because people that didn't use consumables now have a currency that forces them to. I don't agree with this. If you want people to use consumables, either make them cheaper or make them free. Those are your two options, right? Those are your two options. I don't think I've ever seen a player that doesn't use consumables, to be honest, Wargaming. I really don't. It's very rare to run into players that don't use consumables, so I don't even know if I agree with that entirely. So that's something I should say. Now, on the good note, I don't hate commanders. Believe it or not, I don't hate commanders. I think commanders are fine. I don't have a problem with any of the commanders right now. What I have a problem with is that you have removed some of the very, very important crew skills. The camouflage crew skill, the track repair crew skill, and the firefighting crew skill need to be added into the game. These three need to be added. Why? Well, it's very simple. Track repairs, I got tracked in my medium, and I counted it was about 14 seconds before I got that repaired. That is ridiculous. You need to be having faster track repair speeds. You need to bring that in as a base skill for every single player. The other skill, firefighting, I don't need to explain this. You need to have better firefighting, right? If you get lit on fire, you can't lose 8,000 health because you have your repair kit on cooldown. That needs to be changed. That is something that also needs to be fixed. And the camouflage skill, that one's the worst of the bunch right now. The fact that the camouflage skill is missing in the current open test, what ends up happening is you're just spotting vehicles from like 8,000 meters away. Heavy tanks don't really have good camo to begin with, so it didn't affect heavies. But mediums, tank destroyers, and light tanks, which are reliant on their camos, lost 21% of their effective values. And what that means is now heavies are out spotting or equally spotting mediums. It's bad. That needs to be changed. I really don't agree with that. You need to put that camo value back into the game, and you also need to nerf Lisa's camo buff or remove it entirely. So those are the things about the commanders. You still need to have some of the basic crew skills which are available in the game. The UI right now is not very good. Obviously, the way you're looking at your camos is not very good. And the biggest problem I have is the tank icons are too large. If you look at the current Blitz we play, tank icons are small. They're very easy to scroll through. You know, if I go to the Tiger 2, for example, it's very easy for me to find it because the icons are very small. But because the icons are so large, it's very hard to scroll and figure out which specific tank I want to click on right now. You guys definitely need to fix that. You need to make it so these icons are smaller. You also need to remove the little set icon. You could definitely squeeze them down a bit just by doing that. So definitely something I can say there. At the end of the day, you guys are making this game way more confusing than it ever has been. If you think that newer players, I obviously understand that you guys are making this game designed for newer players. You are trying to bring a younger audience in. I don't disagree with that. I think that Blitz does need a younger audience. The reason World of Tanks PC is dying is because the game is so confusing. The crew skills and the grinding, the experience. I have made it very publicly clear that I will not make World of Tanks PC content unless I have a press account because there's too much money involved in World of Tanks PC. There's too much grinding. There's too much time involved. There's too much. When I have a press account, it's fine. But as a new player trying to grind through that game, it is dang near impossible. And I understand that you guys are trying to fix that problem. You're trying to make this game more beginner friendly. Sets are not doing that, though. I'm sorry. Sets are making this way more confusing. They're making this way, way too hard to understand. And they just need to be either massively reworked or removed from the game. So, yeah, there you have it, Wargaming. Those are my thoughts, feelings, and opinions right now. There's obviously more that I have and I think about this game. I would love to get into a private chat with the devs. I really would. I would love to have a public chat with the devs on a live stream. I want them to be able to voice their opinions and their feelings and not be restricted on what they want to say. Because at the end of the day, the devs are just the people that are trying to make this game enjoyable. But they also have the marketing team telling them exactly what to do and what to say. And I don't agree with that. I think that we need to have a clear mindset on exactly what we're working with here. I'm going to be entirely honest, and I'm going to say this directly to Wargaming. If you guys go through with the current changes that are in Unreal Engine, let's pretend you fix the optimization and you release the game as is in 4 months. You will see a very, very declining player base. Skilled players like myself will not want to play this game anymore because we are not going to want to sit with skill-based matchmaking in ratings and wait for that long queue time, even if you fix the queue time. We don't want to do that. We don't want skill-based matchmaking. Ratings, sure, if you want to get ratings points, it's all right, but we also want to have a casual fun time in Blitz with also stats. You need to have stats in the game for everybody to see. You can put on an anonymizer. I don't have a problem with that. People can check on if they want their stats hidden or not. But you need to have the ability for people's profiles to be clicked on, for their stats to be viewed, and you need to make it so that pubs have stats. You need to make it so our aces and our mastery badges are all transferred over. You need to do that. Things like the Fadens medal, you have basically removed from the game because the only way to get the Fadens medal is to shoot your last remaining AP shell. You can't get that skill anymore, so that's gone. There's a lot of things that you guys have done which we don't agree with. If you release the game as is in 4 months, you will kill the game. I'm going to be honest. You will lose a very large portion of your player base. It might not be immediately. You're going to have a big boost in players when you first release it. But I can tell you over the upcoming months and possibly year, you will lose a lot of your players. So if your goal is to make more money, you're going to lose a lot of that money by making these decisions. That's it. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.